Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Cannell and this is a book haul. Our libraries are back open again and very exciting. And so I was in the library for the first time in like 4 months, but I was just there to pick up some holds. But while I was there, I noticed that they had the pop-up book sale, which is quite small. It's just a cart, but I didn't think that they would have that. But then I noticed there was a sign on it that said all the books are currently free, and the reason is they don't want to be dealing with cash. And so yeah, I totally looked at the pop-up book sale, and I got some children's books for our little free library, which was very exciting. And I also found this. This is the Chestnut Man by Soren Sveistrup, I think. Now this guy is the guy who created The Killing and wrote The Killing, and this has been translated into the English from the Danish, I think. And so this, the tagline is, "If you find one, he's already found you." A psychopath is terrorizing Copenhagen. His calling card is a chestnut man, a homemade doll made of matchsticks and 2 chestnuts, which he leaves at each bloody crime scene. Examining the dolls, forensics makes a shocking discovery: a fingerprint belonging to a young girl, a government minister's daughter who had been kidnapped and murdered a year ago. A tragic coincidence or something more twisted? To save innocent lives, a pair of detectives must put aside their differences to piece together the Chestnut Man's gruesome clues, because it is clear that the madman is on a mission that is far from over, and no one is safe. So this just sounded really good, and I also can use it for my Around the World Reading Challenge for a book from Denmark. And then I was at the store picking up a few groceries, and they had kind of a bin of books that were half price, and so of course I took a browse through there and I found this, Simon Scarrow's Hearts of Stone. What caught my interest when I saw this was the name. My husband is collecting Simon Scarrow books because he's got a whole series on ancient Rome, the Roman Empire, but this did not look like that at all, and so I picked it up. And it's a World War II historical fiction, which is great. The Greek resistance in the Second World War brought vividly to life, which totally caught my interest. I don't know anything about the Greek resistance during World War II. I really enjoy World War II historical fiction, but I like to find stories that are a little bit different, and that seemed to be the case. For country, for freedom, for love. Greece, the land of Odysseus, its beautiful landscape still littered with the remnants of history. As the Second World War breaks across Europe, an archaeological dig on the island of Lefkas is abandoned, leaving secrets on the brink of discovery. In the years that follow, a friendship sworn in peace between a young German and the Greek boy and girl he met one idyllic summer will turn into a desperate battle between enemies sworn to sacrifice everything for the countries that they love. So that sounded really good, and this was originally published in 2015, and I'm all in for that. Then I placed an order on Better World Books, which is a fantastic website. They have tons of used books. They do also have some new books. But what's great about this website is that for every book that you buy, they donate a book to someone around the world in an effort to aid literacy. And that is something that I can support 100%. So if you've never checked out this website, check it out, Better World Books. And so I bought a number of books in this particular book haul. And what was great is every single one of these books is from a series that I've been trying to collect. And a few of them are the last book that I was looking for. So these are all used books. And one thing that I think is very interesting is that Better World Books gets an awful lot of their books from library discards, but they're all in really good condition. I was very impressed. So let's just dive right into this. I got Goodbye Ms. Chips by Dorothy Cannell. This is an Ellie Haskell mystery. I've been trying to collect this series and it's been a bit harder to find because these are getting older now. This particular one is from 2008, but it is like pretty late in the series. But this is a series that I really enjoy, set in England, and Ellie Haskell and her husband and their children, you know, they just get themselves involved in some mysteries. So I got this one, and I believe I only need now 2 more in this series in order to have collected all of them. And then I got Face Down in the Marrow Bone Pie by Lynn Emerson. I only need a couple more in this series, but I was super excited to find this one because it's the first in the series. And I've been wanting to reread these, and I like to do it in order. And so finding the first one was very exciting. These are Elizabethan historical mysteries that I really enjoy. So the main character in these is Susanna, Lady Appleton. When the poisoned body of Sir Robert Appleton Stewart is discovered amidst the tasteful splendor of Appleton Manor's dining room, the genteel household is thrown into an uproar. Left behind at the sweeping ancestral estate while her husband embarks on a political mission for the new queen, Susanna, Lady Appleton, takes it upon herself to investigate what she alone believes to be a cold-blooded murder. An expert herbalist, Susanna sets out to identify the deadly potion that killed the crusty old man and to unmask a cunning killer bent on striking again. This is, I believe, from the 90s. Yes, 1997. And I found What Me Mr Mosley by John Greenwood. I was super excited to find this because I only needed 2 more in the series. So with this, I now only need 1, and I love the Mr. Mosley series. They were written, I believe, in the 80s or 90s. Yeah, this is 1988. But they are just such an entertaining series. They're just mysteries set in England, and Mosley he's kind of one of those detectives who his bosses are always trying to get rid of him. They don't understand him. He kind of is always doing his own thing, is not interested in following exact procedure and writing reports. And yet, he always manages to solve the mystery. And these are just really fun, lighthearted mysteries. And so What Me Mr Mosley is, I think, the 5th in the series. Oh, this could be the last one. Mosley's Last Case. Had it not been for the traditional antiques show in the small town of Bagshaw Broom, Henry Burgess would surely have died unnoticed and unmourned. A reclusive old man with a reputed penchant for loud rock music, he had lived alone for years in a rambling mansion. His death stirred interest only because of the unexpected value of the objets d'art he left behind. Why did they bear initials that weren't Henry's? Were they stolen? The irrepressible Inspector Jack Mosley teams up with the wary but resigned Sergeant Beamish for their last case together. Burrowing through the old man's waste bin, they find foreign milk bottles and a pair of pink knickers. Together, Mosley and Beamish dodge angry bikers and a nettled superintendent to solve a most puzzling case of deception and double crossing. So yeah, I'm very excited that I found that. And then I found another edition in the Maggody Mysteries by Joan Hess. This is Mischief in Maggody, which is the 2nd in this series, which I was really glad to find because I still need a few for this series, but with this I can start rereading it. The Maggody series are ridiculous, but I love them. I just love this town and the quirky people who live there. And so Arlie Hanks moves back to her hometown of Maggody and becomes the chief of police. Mountain Moonshine, Monkey Business, and more. The phone lines were buzzing all the way from Ruby B's Bar and Grill to the Flamingo Hotel when 4 hippies, 2 bachelors, and a psychic moved into Maggody, Arkansas, population 755. Chief of Police Arlie Hanks was not amused. She had taken the chief's job after her big city marriage went on the rocks. She needed to be in a quiet place like Maggody where nothing exciting ever happened, especially murder. But hard cussing, hard drinking Robin Buchanan, local moonshiner and lady of love, just turned up deader than a skunk flattened by a big rig. What she left behind was a cabin full of kids, a booby-trapped patch of marijuana, and a town waiting for the next body to drop. I think one of the reasons why I like this series is that I understand small towns. I lived in a town of 800 people when I was a kid for 4 or 5 years. And it was a fantastic place to grow up. I mean, we had so much freedom. We rode our bikes everywhere. And, you know, it was one of those cases where whoever's parent was the closest was the one that kept an eye on us. But we really had so much freedom. It was a really great place to grow up. But it did, you know, often have quirky people, and often nothing happened, but often exciting things happened too. And so I just really enjoy this series, and so I was really excited to get a hold of the second one in it. And then I found Death at Daisy's Folly by Robb and Paige. I'm collecting this series as well, and I only have a few more left in it. This is a Victorian historical mystery. Sir Charles Sheridan is many things: an amateur scientist, a renowned photographer, and a skilled detective. And due to Victorian customs, he will soon become a baron, rendering him unable to marry Kate Ardley, an American writer of the popular yet frowned upon Penny Dreadfuls. Even as the customs of the time keep them apart, a good murder case always seems to bring them together. The Countess of Warwick, known affectionately as Daisy, is the subject of endless rumors about her unladylike ways and temperament. But what happens during a weekend party at her Easton estate is uglier than any rumor. First, a stable boy is killed. Then, a nobleman is murdered outside Daisy's well-known trysting spot. A murderer is on the grounds and on the loose. Seeking to avoid scandal, the Prince of Wales orders Sir Charles to solve the case. Together, he and Miss Ardley find that even the highest levels of society are no refuge from the lowest of deeds. This is from 1997, and it's very early in the series. I didn't double check, but it's early, pretty early in the series. The third in the series. And then I was so excited to get Winter Frost by R.D. Wingfield. With this book, I now have the entire Inspector Frost series. There is only 6, I think. I'm looking at them right now. Yes, there are only 6 in the series, and I've been looking for this one for a very long time. So I am so excited that I found it, and I am definitely going to reread this entire series. I love Inspector Frost. So these are a series from the 90s, 80s and 90s. Let's see. This one is 1999. And it is... I'm not entirely sure where it is in the series. Anyway, Denton is having more than its fair share of crime. A serial killer is murdering local prostitutes. A man demolishing his garden shed uncovers a long-buried skeleton. There is an armed robbery at a local mini-mart and a ram raid at a jeweler's. But Detective Inspector Jack Frost's main concern is for the safety of a missing 8-year-old. 9 weeks ago, Vicky Stewart didn't return home from school. Then another girl is reported missing. Her body is found, raped and strangled. Frost's prime suspect hangs himself in his cell, leaving a note blaming Frost for driving him to suicide. Subsequent evidence points to the man's innocence. Coarse, insubordinate, and fearless, D.I. Jack Frost is in serious trouble. One thing I love about this series is that it feels very realistic because Jack Frost is never just investigating one case. He quite often has 3 or 4 or 5 cases on the go. So it just feels very realistic, and I just love the character of Jack Frost. And then I found The Crosslegged Knight by Candace Robb. I've been trying to collect the Owen Archer series, and I only need, again, a couple more. And so I was really excited to find these because, again, these are not a new series at all. This is from 2002, and it is the 8th in the series, but I believe there's only maybe 10 in this series. These are medieval mysteries, and Owen Archer is the main character. So in The Crosslegged Knight, we are in York in England, October 1371. A series of accidents is making William of Wykeham, Bishop of Winchester, more paranoid than usual. Terrified that the family of a wealthy knight wants to assassinate him, he requests the aid of Owen Archer, master spy. But Archer's concerns are for his own wife, Lucy, who recently lost the child she carried. Then a fire breaks out at the bishop's townhouse, and the body of a murdered woman turns up in the charred ruins. Now forced to investigate Wykeham's case, the one-eyed agent soon finds himself entangled in a dark scheme that involves knights, bishops, even kings. This plot can bring death into his very home, unless Archer sets a trap so cunning that no killer, no matter how influential and powerful, can ever escape. So Owen Archer is a knight, or he used to be a knight, and he lost his eye in a battle, which is why he can no longer do what he used to do. I believe like he was shot with an arrow. It was pretty disgusting. Anyway, I quite enjoy this series, and so I was really excited to find another one in it. And then I think this was the one that I was the most excited about. Oh, Artful Death by Sarah Stewart Taylor. This is only a series of 4, and I was missing the first one. And so I was so excited to find this copy of Oh, Artful Death. This is a series of a mystery series set in the United States with a really interesting premise. So I will just read this to you. Newcomer Sarah Stewart Taylor delivers a compelling and atmospheric mystery that introduces Sweeney St. George, an art historian in Boston with a special interest in the art of death. Sweeney becomes interested in Byzantium, Vermont, an arts colony that flourished in the late 19th century, when she comes upon a photograph of the striking gravestone of a girl who drowned and may have been murdered in 1890. The stone is in a tiny cemetery surrounded by other beautiful, if unremarkable, headstones, some dating back hundreds of years. But the unsigned sculpture that marks this young woman's grave is of extremely high quality, and the artist is unrecognizable. Sweeney is soon hooked, but not only on the mystery of who created the beautiful sculpture, but also on the details of the events surrounding the girl's death. When the friend who showed her the gravestone invites Sweeney to visit his relatives in Byzantium for Christmas, she jumps at the chance, knowing full well that the girl's murder has achieved the status of mythology in the town, and hoping she'll be able to uncover new information. But by the time they arrive, her interest in the girl and the sculpture has gotten around town, and in fact seems to have disturbed a killer. For not long after Sweeney arrives, one of the girl's descendants is murdered, shot and left lying in the cemetery. Taylor has written a remarkably accomplished debut mystery with a winning sleuth in Sweeney St. George, and she's sure to have legions of fans waiting impatiently for Sweeney's next appearance. So I really enjoy this series, and I love the Sweeney St. George being an art historian with a specialty in basically in the art of death. She's got a specialty in gravestones and Victorian funerary art, you know, like how people used to put hair in rings or bracelets, that kind of thing. Really, really fascinating and a really well written series. I can highly recommend Sarah Stewart Taylor. So that's my recent book haul. Have you read any of these books? I would love to chat with you in the comment section down below. If any of these books sound interesting to you, I would love to hear about that as well. And of course, I would love to chat about whatever you want to talk about, because I love to talk about books. And I will see you for another video soon. Bye.